All right, let's dive into DuskMourn. This new Magic set, is it worth our time? We're talking best cards, those fun plays, and how it's going to shake things up. But first, one thing's for sure, this ain't your typical haunted house.
Right. Forget that gothic Innistrad feel. This is straight up 70s and 80s slasher flicks.
Oh, I see what you mean, like VHS tapes and those creepy masked figures in the shadows.
Exactly. But it's more than just the aesthetic. The set really leans into psychological horror. Less about jump scares and gore, more about that creeping sense of dread, like you're trapped and the whole environment is against you.
Okay, yeah, the whole plane of DuskMourn being one giant haunted house. That's gotta mess with your head.
It's all about that unsettling feeling, the feeling of being hunted, and that's where the mechanics come in. Manifest dread, for example.
Ooh yeah, Manifest Dread. It's so simple, but effective. Those face-down cards could be anything.
And you know it's probably something scary. That anticipation, that's what really gets under your skin.
Like messes with your opponent too.
Oh, yeah.
They gotta play cautiously, always thinking about the worst case scenario.
Forces them to react instead of being proactive. Completely throws off their game plan.
Oh, and then you've got impending doom ticking away like a time bomb. Talk about pressure.
No time to waste. You gotta be aggressive and try to win before that doom counter goes off.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, will this shift the whole meta towards faster decks?
Or will we see players try to control things, just trying to survive?
I bet we'll see both. Some going all in on aggression, others hunkering down, trying to outlast the doom counter.
That's gonna be fascinating to watch unfold. But beyond the mechanics, the story itself is really intriguing. This idea that the house is alive, feeding off fear.
It's a classic horror trope, but done really well here. Even makes you question the game itself, right? Are we feeding the house just by playing?
Whoa, it's deep. Gives you chills just thinking about it. Okay, let's talk about some specific cards. Meat Hook Massacre is one that's generating a lot of buzz.
Oh, it's brutal. A board wipe that drains your opponent's life total. Talk about a slow, agonizing death.
The artwork is fantastic too. You can practically feel the terror. And from a gameplay perspective, board wipes are always good, but adding that life drain effect makes it even better.
Speaking of terrifying, we have to talk about the Resorkin. These creepy figures lurking in the halls, hunting down anyone who enters.
Like classic slasher movie villains, always in the shadows. But their backstory, that's what makes it even creepier. They were once normal humans who made deals with the house just to survive.
And now they're twisted, hunting others. Not mindless monsters, but tragic figures corrupted by the house. Adds a whole other layer to how you might play them, right? It's not just brute force, they're cunning and know the house's secret. You know, we've talked about those big, scary cards, the Meat Hook Massacre, those creepy Resorkin lurking around, but there's another side to DuskMourn.
You mean like those everyday people stuck in the house, the ones who just wandered into the wrong horror movie?
Exactly. These survivor cards, they're not powerhouses, but they're all about outsmarting the house itself, finding a hidden path, disarming a trap. It's more about wits than brute strength.
Yeah, classic horror, right? The one who thinks on their feet is the one who survives. Speaking of which, that card, Murderous Mimic, kind of creepy, but also seems super flexible.
Oh, Murderous Mimic is a great example of how these cards can fit into existing decks. Being able to copy ANY creature, that's a wild card for sure. Throw it into a deck with strong creatures, suddenly your Mimic becomes the big threat.
It's like the monster in the movie, changing form, always keeping you guessing. Gotta keep your opponent on their toes. Okay, we've talked strategies, but let's get practical. If someone's building a DuskMourn deck, what are some must-have cards? Things they shouldn't overlook?
Meat Hook Massacre, definitely. Powerful board wipe, drains life. It's just good all around. And if you're going aggressive, Strangled Cemetery can really speed things up, punishes those low life totals.
Solid choices. But what about those under-the-radar cards? Any hidden gems we should call out?
Oblivious Bookworm. People underestimate it. Drawing and discarding cards, that might not seem like much, but it can fuel some crazy combos, especially if you're playing with the graveyard.
I like that. The unassuming Bookworm turns out to be the key. Speaking of surprises, how do you think DuskMourn will change the overall meta? Big picture stuff.
I think we'll see a shift towards slower, more control-focused decks. Impending doom really makes you think long-term, you know? You gotta prioritize survival. Aggression will still be there, but it'll have to be more calculated.
Less Russian and smash. More like carefully navigate the haunted house and choose your battles.
Exactly. DuskMourn is all about adapting, managing your resources. It's not just raw power, you gotta use your head, be cunning, maybe even get a little lucky.
I think we've covered it all. The mechanics, the potential changes to the game. DuskMourn has been a wild ride, and I'm excited to see how it actually plays out.
It's been a fun deep dive, for sure. This set really rewards you for exploring, for trying new things. It's not about finding the best cards, it's about finding your way to play.
So to everyone listening, if you want a set that's scary, indie exciting, full of strategy and twists and turns, DuskMourn is for you. Just remember, the house is always watching. Every choice matters.
Choose wisely, and maybe, just maybe, you'll make it out alive.
Until next time, stay spooky.